If only I could aim like Tenz. I want to be flashy and hit crazy shots. I wish I had aim like that. I want to be consistent. Well, thankfully I have a solution for you. Or do I? Here's my thoughts after playing over 700 hours on aim trainers. First, let's define what an aim trainer actually is. There's a lot of different ones out there: Kovacs, Aim Labs, Aim Beast, Oblivity. But basically, it's a third-party game where you just have bots or targets that you just shoot, and you're training different aspects of your aim, like clicking or tracking. The reason why it's used is because you can get more reps in a shorter amount of time compared to your in-game training. On top of it being a little bit more time efficient, the scenarios are more customizable, so you can train different aspects of your aim, like different difficulties or changing up the scenario to beat smaller targets. Now, to cut straight to the chase, let's talk about my recommendation. After playing about 700 hours and working with other clients as well through my coaching, I feel like I have a pretty good opinion on aim trainers. I think the recommendation would kind of go like a bell curve. So I think aim training is probably most useful for beginners and pros. This is because beginners don't really have mouse control at all. So it's a good way for them to start learning how to use the mouse and how to aim and learn with proper technique first. And then with pros, this is what can kind of give them the edge over their opponents because they already have leveled up everything else. So if your main focus is improving in Valorant and you're not a beginner or a pro, you got to make sure that you're spending time actually improving at Valorant and not just an aim trainer. And this is where we can kind of get into what I like to call a side quest. I think a lot of people, when they first discover aim training, they just go all in on it and they treat it as the main quest in their journey to improve in Valorant. And they say things like, oh, if only I had better aim, or if only I won that duel, or, you know, if only I was immortal complete, things like that. At least that's how it was for me. I focused so much on the aim training aspect that I kind of overlooked VOD reviews. I looked over reviewing myself and kind of just keeping my energy levels high, just all the other stuff that are really important. By making this video, I kind of want to highlight that aim training isn't everything. It's good to do, don't get me wrong. It's great to warm up. It's great to train your weaknesses, but definitely treat it as a side quest and not a main quest. And you know, if you feel like you're struggling in your games, then maybe aim training is right for you. Just like how in an MMORPG, if you're under leveled, you go do side quests to level up so you can go back and do your main quest easier. I think you can definitely treat aim training like that, but you got to remember at the end of the day, it is a side quest and it won't progress you in the main story. I wish someone had told me that when I first started aim training. Just treat it as a supplement. Don't over obsess about it. Make sure you focus on the main game. And I think I probably would have saved a lot of time and energy because it can bring up some negative thinking. So let's kind of unpack the negative thinking a little bit. With the mindset of all you need is aim, you can ignore aspects of the game like decision making, timing, coordination, util usage. And I noticed when I spend more time in the aim trainer, I spend less time in game training. People think of it, myself included, and clients I've worked with, that aim trainer is a replacement for your in-game training, and that is not the case. You still have to train yourself in the game, especially with Valorant, with crosshair placement being so important and peeking and things like that. So if you do want to use an aim trainer because you want an edge of your opponents, don't forget to do your in-game training. That is so important, and there's people that hit Radiant that have never touched an aim trainer because they spend the time deathmatching, they spend the time playing the game, and that's what you can miss out on. And another negative thing that kind of came about with aim training for me is that I would experiment with way too many things. The list would start with sensitivity, and then you know, maybe it's the mouse and then mouse pad, and then I even went as far to change my chair height and my desk height to adjust my ergonomics. I basically started coping because I was trying to like optimize, and like I was hiding my cope with optimization and trying to find the next best thing, when in reality you just have to grind it out and just get better. So what are some positives with aim training? Well, maybe the most obvious one is that your aim does improve. You know, you can see progress. You can see a stat after you complete the scenario. You can compare your performance from 1 week earlier or 2 weeks earlier. Like, it's really nice to see progress and hitting certain goals. If you benchmark yourself with the Voltaic Valorant benchmarks like I did, you can see your progression and see your ranks and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool too. Maybe the most important thing about aim training is that you can see where your weaknesses are in your aim, so you can focus on that, and you'll have a little bit more of an overall balanced aim, which can help a lot, especially in Valorant. For me, that was kind of learning what micro adjusting was. I thought I knew, and I thought I knew how to execute on it, but when I started aim training, it was micro adjustments were really bad. So if we can hop into my own experience with aim training, when I was a little bit more serious about it in Valorant, I benchmarked myself using the Voltaic benchmarks, which you can go to app.voltaic.gg. I'll show up on screen kind of my progression, but I started like in ascendant with some ranks where I weren't even ranked in platinum. Then I decided to get some aim coaching by Minigun. He helped me figure out my weaknesses, which happened to be micro adjustments. I just kind of kind of went from there and grinded it out. Eventually, like a month or two after I was aim training seriously for Valorant, I was able to hit Immortal Complete. And then a month after that, I was able to hit Radiant Complete, and the benchmarks on screen is kind of where I'm at now with some Elysian scores. So now you guys are probably wondering, like, was the aim training actually useful? Was it beneficial? Should I get into it? Should I not get into it? I will say at the very start, when I first started aim training and focusing up on my weaknesses, especially my micro adjustments and my tracking, I was able to get really confident about my aim, and I think that helped me make the push to my peak RR of 900. So if I were to go back and do it again, I definitely would. However, after hitting Immortal Complete, I think I kind of hit the wall of diminishing returns. I don't really think you need aim better than Immortal Complete in Valorant. If anything, you could probably get away with Ascendant Complete, but I think Immortal Complete, at least on the micro adjustments, helped me a lot, just feeling confident, especially when I peaked. And finally, I kind of want to talk about how you can translate your aim from an aim trainer into the real game. So this one's kind of a hot topic, and it's actually kind of backwards from what Minigod told me. He told me to try to translate my in-game aim into the aim trainer. So he would recommend me play some Valorant death matches and then go into aim labs. And I think the reasoning on that was so that you can translate the habits that you have in the game into the aim trainer, and then you can work on it there. And then hopefully when you come back to the game, some of that habits can kind of come back over. I don't know if I can say one-to-one that's exactly how it worked, but for me, the way that I kind of improved my aim in the game was also doing similar type of drills when I would go from the aim trainer into the game. So for example, if I did like a flicking or a micro adjustment task in the aim trainer to warm up, then I would go into the range and try to replicate that exact scenario or very similar type of flicks or micro adjustments. And by doing it that way, I was able to kind of translate some of the technique that I was doing with the initial flick and the micro adjustment and, you know, kind of land on target, just like all the stuff that I learned in the aim trainer over into Valorant. And then of course, by playing a little bit more intentionally in death matches, for example, I love to play sheriff only death matches, which, you know, relies heavily on your first bullet. It relies heavily on your micro adjustments. And by doing that, I feel like I was able to utilize the aim portion that I got from training it in the aim trainer back into Valorant. So did I actually get aim like Tenz? Did I become flashy and hit crazy shots? Did I become more consistent? I would say sometimes. I think Tenz has a kind of a unique aiming style. He's very flicky, he's very flashy. I don't think I was able to do that one-to-one, but I was able to increase my flick speed and my flick accuracy. And I think, you know, in moments, maybe it did kind of look like I was Tenz. But more importantly, you know, aim training gave me confidence. It gave me a way to address my weaknesses in my aim, and it gave me something to grind. Just be careful, because aim training can be really addicting. At least it was for me. And remember, don't lose sight of the main goal. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.